In this video, I'm going to talk about the best computer for interior designers. This is based on my experience working for 3 large interior design companies in London, working with software from Photoshop to AutoCAD, as well as running my own small business. If you don't know me, I'm Ula Burgel, and for over 14 years, I've used all kinds of computers and softwares with all things interior design, from Mac to Windows, laptops, and desktop computers. I'm going to share with you what I've learned about picking the right computer for your interior design needs so that you get the best option and also avoid overspending on unnecessary extras. I will also give you recommendations on exact models. None of these recommendations are sponsored in any way, by the way. Okay, let's get started. Your first step. When choosing the best computer for interior design, the first thing you need to do is to make a list of software you are going to be using. That's because you don't want to be overspending on a super fast computer if the software you're using doesn't need it. For example, if, like me, you decide that it's a better business decision to outsource your 3D visuals rather than learning 3D software yourself, you will definitely save a lot of money on the computer you will need. If you're unsure about which software you will need to learn as an interior designer, I did a separate video on this topic and I'll link it down below. Once you have your list of all the software you will be using, the next step is to do a Google search about system requirements for each of those softwares. For example, Photoshop system requirements or AutoCAD system requirements, and so on. You will be able to find the bare minimum requirements as well as recommended options. It is worth checking out this second column. Obviously, note it all down or print it out. You will need it when you visit your nearest computer store and talk to the staff about which model is best for you. Apple versus Windows. Before you go to the computer store to find the best computer for interior design, you will need to decide if you want an Apple device or a Windows PC device. This decision will largely depend on budget, but also what you are already used to. If you have an Apple phone or other devices, it is really useful when all your notes, documents, etc. sync up easily. So obviously stick to that brand. You may find advice on the internet suggesting that for interior designers, especially the ones wanting to use 3D software, a Windows computer is the better option out of the two, as it's much faster or has better performance. This is no longer the case, as Apple has recently added more advanced computers to match these claims. However, it is true that Windows computers are still more affordable than Apple. The Apple versus Windows debate is more of a personal choice, and either will work fine. The only exception is that if you're planning to use software that only works on one system, such as Revit, for example, this will limit your choice. On a side note, if you're thinking of becoming an interior designer, I'm currently offering a free training, The 7 Sure Signs You Were Born to Be an Interior Designer and How to Make It Happen. So make sure to watch it before it's gone. Link in the description. Performance. Now let's talk about performance. So how fast your computer or laptop should be if you are an interior designer. The faster the computer or laptop, the more expensive it will be. Here is where your list of software and their requirements will come in handy again. When you visit the store, show it to the staff and let them tell you what their recommendation is. At this point, staff in the store may also start using slightly confusing technical names. CPU, this is an abbreviation for Central Processing Unit. Think of it as the brain of your computer. It handles all the instructions and tasks you give your computer, like opening emails or browsing websites. A faster CPU just means your computer can do things quicker. GPU, or graphics processing unit. This is like the imagination of the computer, mainly helping with anything visual, which is really important in interior design. A good GPU makes everything look smoother and more detailed, especially when using 3D programs. A dedicated graphics card is important if you decide to do 3D models yourself, as it supports rendering and 3D modeling tasks, ensuring smooth visuals and rendering performance. RAM, or unified memory. RAM, or random access memory, is like the computer's short-term memory. The larger it is, or more RAM it has, the more tasks you can handle at once without having the computer slow down. Similar to having lots of browser tabs open while working on a project. Your list of software requirements should give you recommendations for these techy sounding specs like CPU, GPU, and RAM. For example, you can say, we recommend 16 gigabytes RAM or unified memory. There is advice online which says that as an interior designer, you should get the best gaming computer for your budget, but this might be more relevant if you heavily use 3D software like SketchUp or 3D Max. Otherwise, a basic computer will usually do the trick for your other softwares. Incidentally, if you're ordering a computer online, start with a basic version of the computer and see how much the price goes up when you make it faster. AKA choosing better CPU, GPU, or RAM. You'll see that each time you make it faster, the price can go up by $500 or even $1,000, so be aware of that. Storage. The next thing you should consider when looking for the best computer for interior designers is storage. And trust me, once you start doing interior design projects, you will need a lot of storage for all your furniture photos, site photos, designs, sketches, presentations, etc. That's why I would say invest a little bit more in this area, as you will run out of space pretty quickly. 512 gigabytes is probably the minimum. For example, I tend to store a lot of files for all the projects that I'm doing, so I actually use 4 terabytes. Yes, of course, you can use the external storage instead, but you might find it a bit annoying when you need to plug it in each time you want to access your files. There's also storing everything in the cloud. However, it can take a lot of time to upload everything. So personally, I prefer to invest in additional storage inside the computer itself. The most up-to-date type of storage that is more reliable and will help with speed is called SSD. Display. The next thing you need to consider is the display. In other words, the screen on your computer or laptop. This is another reason why I personally switched to Apple, as their display show colors so well. It's like in real life, which is very important with interior design. Especially when you think colors of the finishes like wood, fabrics, and metals. It will never be 100% accurate, but it will be pretty close. So when you send presentations to clients, who in majority would use Apple products as well, they will most likely see similar colors on their screen. So the gray sofa photo you're sending actually looks like the gray color you intended, not greenish. In terms of size, large screens like those offering 4K resolutions will help you see the details better when you're working on floor plans or your sketches. Adding textures in Photoshop, for example, requires you to zoom in on certain areas, so having a large screen is definitely worth it. Laptop versus large computer. The next important decision is, should you buy a desktop computer with a nice large screen that stays on your desk at all times, or do you go for a portable laptop to take it to site and meetings with clients, or both? Everyone's first thought is, well, obviously it's better to have the option of portability. However, in my opinion, you should only get a laptop if you really need it. It will not only make your purchase more expensive, but taking your laptop to site and clients' homes is overrated, in my opinion. For example, I think that clients always respond better to a nicely printed large presentation than when they have to look at a computer screen where they'll most likely get bored very fast. I also prefer to take printed documentation to a site visit simply because if you print it big enough, more people can see it and draw on it if need be. Also, in that scenario, you don't need to worry about the internet not working, your laptop crashing, etc. It's a personal preference, but I think these points are worth taking into consideration. There is a solution to have the best of both worlds. It's to buy a powerful laptop for portability and a separate big 4K display that stays in your office or home, which you can then plug your laptop into when you need to. But this is a more expensive option. Aesthetics. Something that's also worth noting is that as an interior designer, aesthetics played a significant role when I was choosing my computer, specifically how it complements my desk's overall look. I'm drawn to sleek and minimalist designs. While this may seem like a trivial consideration to many, it was important to me. So, if you would like to know what my most current and up-to-date recommendations on the exact models of computers and laptops are, the link to the PDF is below this video. Finally, when we talk about finding the best computer for interior design, it's really important to remember that the computer is just a tool. What's really important is your ability to design. Even if you have an old computer that's not very fast, you can still make amazing designs if you know what you're doing. I've got something special for you. I'm offering a free training called The 7 Sure Signs You Were Born to Be an Interior Designer and How to Make It Happen. It's all about helping you see if you're meant to be an interior designer and giving you steps to get there. You can find the link below. Thank you for watching my video on the best computers for interior designers, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.